Perhaps as you are beginning to settle for our practice together, it might be with some form of gratitude that we, you, me, know a way back home. We know how to return. That's not everyone. So yes, we forget the practice, but eventually we all remember. We remember what's wholesome. We remember what's helpful and skillful. We remember our attention and apply it with intention to something that's worthy. It's worthy cultivating. So see if it would be helpful today, when you do remember your attention, when you wake up, oh, I've been thinking this whole time, that instead of giving yourself a hard time, comparing or grasping for something that you think should be occurring in your meditation practice, one offers gratitude. Oh, I know how to return to the awareness of the body, sitting and breathing right here on this chair, cushion, couch. Appreciating the remembering and returning. So when you tend to focus on what's not going well in your practice, perhaps this can be helpful. I remember and I know how to return. Allowing the body to breathe with life. Even if it's for one easeful, full breath. Just letting life move through you. With you, within you. Just this breath. That's all there is, this moment. And then this one. there is a sense of resting. There is a sense of healing. Just one moment of mindfulness, so healing. Appreciating that. Remembering and returning today with the sense of appreciation for this body that's alive and breathing, for chitta and mind that's inclined to practice, that loves the practice, remembers the practice. Remembering the body sitting or lying down, whatever position it is in. This body breathing this breath. Just letting yourself fully appreciate this breath. Fully experiencing this breath. Again, when the mind gets stirred up, agitated, busy with a memory, a thought, image, bodily sensation, we often feel like we need to do something. So Just trying this approach today. When that occurs, one can hold a question. What can I offer to my practice in this moment? What can I offer? What can I give? Remembering your attention and returning. Simple awareness, the body sitting, breathing this breath, receiving each breath fully, as if it was the most precious thing. It is. We forget. remembering and returning. It's helpful holding the question, what can I offer to my practice in this moment? Or what can I give? Especially helpful when one is engaged in a process of getting, striving, fixing, correcting, controlling. What can I offer? What can I give? And when you do all that, does anything soften? Is there any sense of releasing, letting go? What shifts when we approach the practice this way? While the mind is still in contemplation, I would like to offer a poem as a way to enter our contemplation of ritual. Those who see the mundane as a barrier, a wall between the sacred and the divine, blind themselves to the light that pulses through all. They miss the truth that lies beneath the surface, that in every moment, in every breath, the divine flows through life's simplest acts. No task is too humble, no role too small to be separate from the One. The sacred is not confined to distant realms, but lives in the heartbeat of the ordinary. It is in the turning of the earth, the rustling leaves, the touch of a hand, the whisper of a thought. Each moment is a temple, each action a prayer, a chance to touch the divine, if only we notice. To see the world as a canvas for grace is to know that no life, no act, no thought exists beyond the presence of the sacred. Those who seek the divine beyond the present, miss the infinite beauty of the here and now. The sacred is not a far-off truth, but the essence woven into existence itself. In the dance of the mundane, we find the music of the divine, waiting to be heard, waiting to be known. Wasn't that gorgeous, that poem? Oh, it was in the email that was sent to you, and I also can put it in at the end in a chat. These poets sometimes, they just break my heart. So before I start speaking, perhaps we can sit with that word ritual and its meaning. Like, what does it mean to you? Just consider that in your practice, but also in your daily life. And of course, all the responses are welcome. What role does ritual play in your life? What do you consider ritual? How you understand it? Is that word of putting? Hmm. There is a note from Carolyn. Ritual as a holy routine. So I would like to start with just sharing the way I understand it, the way I practice, and then we can look at how we can start simply incorporating it in our daily life, not just our formal practice. And um, what I would like to highlight today, there is a lot to say about ritual. Um, that the way I understand this and the way I will be reflecting on it is ritual as intentional embodied act or action. And not something that is extra or ornamental or um, um, something that feels religious, even, right? And in some Buddhist communities, this has been, in a way, taken out, or it's practiced in a way that's not as intentional. And that is not this community. So I thought as we move into this part of the year that's filled with ritual, starting next week, we call it Thanksgiving, that we can reflect how can this be more meaningful, more intentional, more embodied. So in meditation practice, what can happen that it becomes this only mental activity that you do on your own every day on your mat or chair, whatever. And when we start bringing ritual in, which can be just this little chant we did, just refugees or precepts, and more on that later, or it's simple bow, right? Simple bow before your practice. Or there is little offering that perhaps you have altar and you offer a leaf or a stone or a flower, something, right? What it does for me, and what I'm um, inviting you to try at home, it puts a boundary around something and makes it more sacred and intentional. It's like you are saying before you practice with a bow or a chant that this is intentional activity, right? And when we bring the body together, like palms together, or begin to chant before we sit, the body gets also involved. So it's not just mental activity. And what I also like in formal practice, what ritual does, it brings sound into the practice, touch, if you do offering, if you light incense or a fragrant candle, it bring, can you hear it, other senses in, not just the mind, right? Sound as we chant, smell, touch when you go and do offering, or when the palms come together in intentional bow. So it becomes whole bodied, whole being experience, very embodied. It really transformed my practice, my formal practice, and I do not do the same ritual every day before my practice or after my practice, because what I find so nourishing that it just arises. So today it will be bow a chant or this chant. Today it will be whole Kuan Yin bowing 15-minute ceremony. Like what's needed? What's what is it called for today? Or what do I want to honor today? What do I want to highlight in my practice? And this prevents, it's not always, but it can help preventing this rut we get stuck in, where the practice is just like blah, that feeling. We bring heart, we bring devotion into it, and all the senses can get engaged. Another part that's important, even in the traditional way, all these rituals being practiced, right? They can be a source of our ethical training. When precepts, which I do that every day, precepts is a must because it's like I am saying, and again, it is a ritual where I'm saying, I am intending to move through this day, creating as little harm as possible. And perhaps if you don't like the precepts and the way they sound, maybe it will be just that intention. But we highlight our commitments to not harming. We highlight our commitment to cultivating virtue, sila is the Pali term. And also, it creates this sense of humility because, boy, we are not perfect. The precepts, I don't even like the term break, but we try to follow and yet we fall short. And so then there is this sense of humility as you are reciting and again, oh yes, can I be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more intentional because I tend to sleep here. Gossip, for example, right? So it kind of highlights it and brings it into attention like, oh, this needs even more, and not work, but just more attention, right? Ah, yes, let's bring more attention to this because when I don't bring care and attention to this moment, I tend to do this, right? And that's also how I view ritual is this care and attention, intentionality we bring to any act. And more on that later, how we can do it in daily life. Right? So we are strengthening our commitments when we do this ritual of remembering and recollecting the precepts. So when we incorporate the ritual into our practice at the beginning and at the end, I already spoke about the benefits of doing it before the practice, but after the practice, sometimes I'm already in the kitchen, right? My practice ended and I'm already in the kitchen and I'm like, how did I go? How did I get here? Total lapse of mindfulness. Again, it's not wrong, but the ritual can put like the boundary around our practice and also it strengthens the intentionality. So when I end the practice, it can be something what we will do today, which is sharing of the blessing, right? Where we know that all this goodness gets generated when we practice. So you can end with, may this be shared with everyone, right? And then there can be a ritual just setting an intention. So today, let's remember this aspect of practice, right? And then you get off your cushion or chair, right? It's just a little thing, little gesture. So, what are the benefits of it? What does it actually do when it's something that gets incorporated in your practice, formal and not formal? So, it trains first, it trains the attention. Because when the hands come together, when the flower is placed on the altar, oh, this moment is sacred, this moment is worthy of my attention, right? So it trains the attention. And when we chant, it naturally gathers our attention, or when you ring a bell, right? So it's just helpful in training of our attention, and it encourages or can encourage settling, collecting of the mind. Another thing that it expresses and helps us remember is our interdependence. It is not, in this community, we do not necessarily practice just this way, but it can feel like you are there all alone on your mat, working to become more patient person, more compassionate person, or whatever the intention is. And it's wholesome, but it can feel lonely, right? It's something I have to work on my mind. So when we do refugees like we did, and sometimes I feel in the morning like I just need silence. So what I do is a silent. I take a refuge in the Buddha, bow. I take the refuge in the Dhamma, bow. I take a refuge in the Sangha. It's just a bow. What it does, it acknowledges all the teachers. Of course, you know the free refugees, what they mean. So I'm just gonna super simplify it. It encourages all the teachers. It encourages to remember all the teachers to bring, hopefully, some sense of gratitude that we are benefiting from all the practitioners, all the teachers that came before us. But you are also bowing to your awakened nature. You are remembering that you do have also Buddha nature. You also, when you bow to Sangha, we are honoring all the people everywhere that practice, right? It can be very meaningful because I feel so uplifted when I'm leaving this meeting because I know that you are out there and approaching like living life with just beautiful minds and hearts and intention. So it really helps us remember that we are not alone, that we are interdependent, and that we not only practice for ourselves, but for everyone else. Because then when there is a little bit more freedom in this mind, body, heart and mind, called Janka, that's for everyone, right? So another thing that it brings or can bring into our practice is sense of devotion. And it is a strange word that can mean different things to different people. But just pause for a moment and consider what does that word mean to you? What does the words devotion, what do the words devotional practice mean to you? Is there something that occurs in the heart when you engage devotional practice? When you offer gratitude before you do your sitting practice, when you bow, does the heart open? Does the heart feel more receptive and tender, grateful? And is that helpful overall to your practice and life? Living with a heart that's filled with love, appreciation, gratitude for the practice, and actually, eventually, everything we receive. And then ritual also creates a sense of belonging. So, you know, when you come here every Sunday, you get to chant. And there is assumption that many of us do chant throughout the week, right, between our meetings. And so there is this beautiful sense of we belong to this community, and especially it's a little different on Zoom in person. When the room filled of people chants together, there is this one body of sound that gets created. So it's the sense of belonging, belonging to this, to the practice, to the Sangha. It's just, again, this sense of I'm not separate, I'm not alone. I belong to this lineage. Practitioners, teachers, practice. We become community through all these little things we can do. We can call ritual, we can call intentional acts. So as Westerners, we all have conditioning around ritual. I grew up during communism. Mine is so different that where I live, which is quite religious part of United States, I live in Tennessee, especially the town I live in, Chattanooga. We have one of, if not the most, churches per capita. It's very, very Christian here. So we come with, it's what I left before. I left this behind. I did this before. I come to the Buddhist practice. I want nothing to do with this. It's too religious, right? Even just putting hands in prayer. So, of course, in my community, it has to be framed differently, right? To make sure that people don't feel like, oh boy, from one church to another. So, uh, for me, I came from very rational background. So it was a wow. I was like, what's that? What's this? This is not rational. It's just good to know the conditioning you have. So when it arises, you recognize that, oh, that's my conditioning. And I choose this, right? So we spoke about that before, that conditioning doesn't have to go away. We can have conditioning and still be intentional. Don't have to get rid of it. So, aware of the time, let's just talk about how do you do this in your daily life, right? So, as in the poem, or as in title of the talk that was sent out, I think it was something like making mundane or ordinary into something sacred. So, let's say you are folding clothes. That can be a ritual of care instead of just get it done so I can do whatever. Folding clothes. Washing dishes. It can also be ritual of care, but it can be a ritual of clarity, watching something dirty getting clean. Opening, closing door. Oh, transition, ritual of transition, right? Leaving your home, going for work, opening the car, closing the car door if you drive to work, whatever. Transition, just aware. Now I'm stepping, right? There is a practice that I really would like to not forget, and I am forgetting, so now it's on my dining table. And that is offering gratitude before each meal. There are formal ways, and if you are curious, just Google Buddhist ways of offering gratitude, and you will find Tibetan ways of doing it, Zen, Theravada, and just find a way to do this. It brings, it just changes the way we, let's just speak for myself, it changes the way I engage with food. Let's see. let's say before sleep, I hear many of us struggle now to fall asleep, um, or wake up in the middle of the night and fall asleep. Is there something that you could do that it would be supportive? And again, going back to what we already talked about, that ritual creates boundary around something, right? So is there something that could be incorporated, like before you go to sleep? A candle, a little chant, or whatever it is, right? And I find, for me personally, I like different senses engaged, right? As we mentioned, sound and touch and smell. And just see what helps you transition. And that is the body, heart, and mind from this very engaged externally life we live to letting all of it settle and creating condition that is easy to fall asleep. Right? It's just we cannot make ourselves fall asleep. I have tried that. It doesn't work, makes it worse. But we can create condition that allow us to fall asleep with ease. So there are so many ways. Oh, let's just talk about relational mindfulness, or that's how it's referred to. But being in a relationship, that is having a conversation with someone. It can't be just setting intention that you intend to be present for this person, right? So as you are entering, or while you're in conversation, you remember, like, whoa, completely forgot my practice. Then remembering the practice, right? So you are probably hearing that ritual is this action that's done with intention and care. And then it changes the way we engage with everything, right? And I love that sense of, for example, picking something, holding something. We pick something, hold something, move something without ever getting a sense. I have my phone here. We don't experience the texture, the weight. It's just so automatic, right? So that can be a ritual, that something gets picked up. Like before bed, before going to sleep, you pick up all this unnecessary thing in your room, right? So that it's not cluttered, and make that picking up, holding, moving intentional act, and see if that changes anything. So let's see. So just I'm aware of time, so there are two questions that I would like to leave us with. What rituals support my awareness? What ritual supports my awareness or mindfulness, however you call it? And this is a question that I find a little bit more important for me, just where I am and where the world is. What ritual or what rituals open my heart and keep it open? So I'll offer them again. What rituals open and or keep my heart open? And what rituals support my awareness So I will end here, and I would like to do this ritual that I try to remember to even in short form after every time I practice or practice with a group. And I'm aware that it's 1 o'clock, so if you need to go, thank you very much for your attention and presence. Be well. This will take a minute. So when we gather together and practice formally, which would be the meditation practice we've done, and informally when we together share and reflect on the Dhamma, goodness, a lot of goodness is being generated. And that goodness can be shared. It can be shared with a particular person or people that you feel would benefit from. And it can be shared with all beings. Human and non-human. All beings without exception. May they benefit from our practice. May all beings be free from greed, hatred, and delusion. May all beings, human, non-human, without exception, may they all have safety and ease of well-being. So I bow to you for your commitment and sincerity. We wouldn't have this Sangha if it wasn't for that, and as I mentioned at the beginning, all other beautiful qualities you bring. And I'm gonna pause the recording now.